Hello and welcome everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan, and I'm very, very happy to be here today again. So I'm going to be your host for the next hour, and we're going to have a fun time. It's going to be a very, very enlightening session today as well. And as a very special episode, we are going to be joined by a special guest as well. And yes, the ongoing series of Ask Your F1 questions. So definitely, before we dive into today's topic, I wanted to give out this very important message that is displayed on the screen. And that is, by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. So, once again, friends, thank you so much for joining in today here on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And this is going to be our third episode on this topic. The topic is Ask Your F1 Questions. So I hopefully you all are very excited, just like I am, and we're going to learn more about F1 visas. And once again, we are very thrilled to have this incredibly knowledgeable and insightful none other than Yvette Bansal, who is a former U.S. visa consular officer. Welcome back, Yvette. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Nipasa. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Really happy to have you, and you're looking very pretty today, fresh and nice. And thank you once again for being here with us to do this.
Thank you.
So, this is going to be your third session with us on Ask Your F1 Questions. How do you feel already covering two good webinars, insightful ones? And are you excited about today?
I love helping students, so I'm always excited to offer them the opportunity to ask their F1 questions. So I am really happy about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And folks out there, wherever you have joined us from, uh, don't forget to tell us your city or the state so that we can give you better answers. And hopefully, you will have a lot of questions because this is an Ask Me Anything session. I can already see some questions actually. So I'll just say hi to Shivangini on LinkedIn and on YouTube to Choi. So keep dropping your questions. We are sure going to take them up. Just stay with us. So, Yvette, before we start off, if you could tell us or, just share a memorable case of visa fraud that you have encountered.
Sure, Napasa. So visa fraud is common in certain countries. I was deputy fraud prevention manager in Mumbai. So I worked in Delhi and then I was deputy fraud prevention manager in Mumbai. So the fraud there, we saw all different types, but a case of student fraud that really stuck out to me was when a applicant got referred to the fraud prevention unit. So for those who may not know the process, if there's any question of fraud, then the visa officer will refer you to the fraud prevention unit and then we will interview you. And so in this particular situation, he handed me an experience letter which was not real. However, he was a real student. He had legitimate transcripts. There was somebody who convinced him that he needed a gap year certificate to cover 6 months or 8 months of working of a gap like he where he was not working. So somebody charged him 15,000 rupees to get this gap year certificate. And unfortunately for him, this vendor also sold a lot of other kids that same gap year certificate. So it was uncovered that these letters were fake. So when the consular officer saw the letter, there was indications of fraud. Maybe the company's name is not spelled correctly or some other indicators. And this was memorable because it was incredibly sad. This individual had studied and gotten decent grades and was otherwise an eligible student, but made the wrong decision by trying to make his profile look better when he didn't really need to do that. So, a
Mhm.
lesson to people that are watching, 6 months, 1 year of a gap, especially if you're a legitimate student, is not a big deal, can easily be explained, and shouldn't be stressed over to the level that students stress over it. So he was like crying at the window, and unfortunately, this was entered into his record. I won't go into the details of the implications, but it could be as serious as a 6C1 for misrepresentation, or it could be a 14B, which is a normal refusal code, but the case notes said that he presented fraudulent documents, which is
Mhm.
bad as well. So in the future, he would have a very difficult time getting a visa with the 214B, or with the
Mhm.
6C1, it's a permanent ineligibility. Um, we have to communicate to local law enforcement. He had his parents notified, and it was overall, I think the saddest part is the fact that he really only wanted to make his parents proud, and it ended up working out very much against his favor. So just a word of warning: never buy gap year certificates if you're in India. So um, thanks. I don't know how good that story was, but there you go, Nipasa.
It is interesting. And see, I mean, you don't have to just make yourself look all flowery and garland. If it's not there, it's not there. Just accept who you are, I think. And let's not do any sort of, I mean, any amount of fraudulent activities for sure.
Yeah,
Right, Yvette?
100%. Yeah,
Yes.
100%. That's exactly right.
So, yeah, let's move ahead. I think I'm very glad to see a lot of questions already have come in the comment section. So let's take them up since it's Ask Me Anything session for you ex-US consular officer Yvette Bansal. So this one is from Choi on YouTube asking, I was denied two two B2 visas about 2.5 years ago, and there have been a lot of changes in my life. I traveled to Serbia, Japan, and Laos, worked at a company, got a bachelor's in psychology, and now going for master's in media in Ball State University. Will the B2 rejection affect my visa approval, and do visa officers, I guess, check spoken language list in DS 160 as I speak 4 languages? Do visa officers check the older DS 160 from years ago?
Okay. So the question is, to paraphrase, if you received a B1, B2 refusal a couple years ago, and
Mhm,
now your circumstances has changed. In this example, you completed a bachelor's degree and now you're going for a master's degree. Will
mhm,
the previous refusals affect your F1? And the answer is it depends. If you have more travel and have graduated, those are both great indicators of A, more finances, and B,
mhm,
better ties through your education. You're proving better ties to your home country. So I would say, because of the change of circumstances, hopefully that will be looked upon favorably as you go as for your F1 interview, but it also
mhm,
depends on what the case notes were for that B2 rejection. If it was a simple, I wanted to go for tourism and they said, this person is too young, then maybe it's not a big deal. But if there are case notes that are a little bit more severe, then it
mhm.
could impact it. So the answer is it depends, but it looks like you've made positive strides towards a potential approval for that F1. So congrats on that. The consular officer won't necessarily check if you know the languages that you're claiming to know. I've never had anybody do that, but consular officers notoriously speak multiple languages and they could break out in German at any time. So, I mean, I would only
Mhm.
put languages you do speak. And do they check older DS 160s from years ago? They can. Do they routinely do it? Usually they don't have time. If they have questions, can they go back and check it? They can, and some do.
Thank you. Thank you, Yvette, for
Sure.
taking that up for Troy. And I hope, Troy, that was pretty clear. If you have any more questions, we are here for some time, so stay with us. All right, let's move on now to another one from YouTube. This is from Said. What are your thoughts on a student graduated bachelor's and worked on OPT, but overstayed by 2 months and came back to their country and now applying for visa for master's in a top 10 university?
Okay, so you already got one degree from the United States and was able to use your OPT. You stayed an additional 2 months, and now you want to go back for a master's, but a top university. You're going to have to convince the consular officer of why you want to go back for your master's. So that needs to be communicated in a way where, first and foremost, your intent is that you're a student and you don't make the consular officer believe that maybe you will complete only a portion of your master's or pivot and try to find a job in a different way. So I would communicate your serious intention to be a student for your master's and have a good reason for why you overstayed by 2 months. It may be noticed, but it may not be noticed. It's not a overstay that is an egregious overstay of over a year. So it may not be something that the consular officer may notice necessarily. But if you are questioned about it, uh, discuss the reasons for why you overstayed for those 2 months, and hopefully
Two
the
months.
consular officer gives you another chance.
Hmm. So basically, everything has to be explained. Nothing can be hidden, and it's better to always be transparent. All right. Thank you
Hmm.
so much to Sadi for the question, and thank you, Yvette, for taking it up.
Thank
Let's
you.
move on. Now we got this next one on YouTube again from Roop asking, both my partner and I are on F1 visas. Currently, I am an OPT and applying for an OPT extension. My partner initially came to the US on B2 visa and then switched to an F1 visa. He is hesitant to return to, there's a continuation. He is hesitant to return to our home country out of a fear that he won't be able to obtain another visa. We are considering getting married. We're wondering if switching him to F2 visa can guarantee him a visa F2 when we return. Okay.
Okay, this is a very specific case question. Also, it
Hmm.
has some major consequences because you guys are both in the United States, and potentially making the wrong decision could
Hmm.
make you end up being separated. I would advise booking a one-on-one consultation with me on udetivisa.com for this specific and high stakes question, as you need guidance. We need to look over your entire case, see what happened, and then I can give you much better advice. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And the details are displayed on the screen. It's scrolling below, friends. So note it down, especially to Roop out there. Definitely go get in touch with Yvette directly. And her phone number is 630 303 6165. And visit her website, udetivisa.com. All right. And also email her directly at yb@udetivisa.com. All right. So, friends out there, stay in touch with us. Stay with us because we are taking up all of your questions today. It is an Ask Me Anything session with none other than former U.S. Consular Officer Yvette Bansal. And moving on to this next question, Yvette, this is from Neetu on YouTube asking, if I switch from H1B to F1 for PhD, I repeat the question again. This is from Neetu Singh, if you can hear me. If
Mhm.
I switch from H1B to F1 for PhD, will it reset my 6 year H1B clock? Or do I still need to leave US for 1 year after PhD OPT?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure if it will reset your H-1B clock. I'm not sure if the regulations say that the 6 years has to be consecutive. I would check the USCIS website for that particular question, but good question.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees, global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408 335 6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan, your host, and we are with our special guest today with former U.S. Consular Officer Yvette Bansal. Thank you so much, Yvette, for doing this. And today's session, friends, is Ask Me Anything session about F1 visas. We've already taken some of them. And Neetu, very good question indeed. I would say you can directly contact Yvette. And let's move ahead to this next question from Sandra. Sandra is asking, the visa officer was cool with my profile, but lastly, when he asked me about my siblings, I said that my elder brother is studying in the US and we both have the same sponsor, and he rejected me. Now there's a
Okay.
continuation asking, have you ever traveled abroad? In answering this common F1 visa question, should I include countries that I just transited to when traveling to a particular country, given that I have their stamps?
Okay, that was a couple of questions. For traveling abroad, you must mention on your DS 160 countries that you have visited in the last in the last 5 years. Transit countries, that's an interesting question. If you'd like to mention transit countries, you can go ahead and mention the transit countries. If the consular officer asks you about it, you can say that you just transited the countries, but technically you were in the country, so you can mention it on your DS 160 if you'd like to. And regarding the rejection, I don't see a question. You could have gotten rejected for multiple reasons besides the fact that your elder brother is in the United States. I'm not sure. I would need more context, or if you have a follow up question, I can perhaps answer the follow up question. So I hope that
Yes,
answers your.
yeah, I think so. Have you ever traveled abroad? She's, I mean, it's a simple question, common ask question, she says. And should she include the countries since she has the stamps?
She can in her DS 160 if she wants to include transit countries, she can include transit countries. That's fine. There's no rule either way. And you can also say that you've extensively traveled within your own country as well.
Mhm.
That's also notable.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sandra. I hope that answers your question. And if you have any further questions, you can always drop them in the comments. We will take them up. And remember, Yvette, we just had Sadi's question. So we have another follow up. So we'll quickly take that up first. Does the visa officer see the number of schools that issued me I-20 on their screen? Does it pop right away, or do having siblings in the US pop right away?
So for siblings in the United States, you must mention them on the DS 160. Do not try to hide that you have siblings in the United States. And the consular officer has no idea how many schools issued you I-20s. They don't know.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Yvette and Sadi. I hope that answers. We have Oracle DBA data warehouse powered by Pentao projects or W2. So maybe if you could if you could just send us more details about this, you could just email me directly at nipa@higheritpeople.com and we will try to get to what you're trying to answer. So thank you so much. Anyway, let's move to um, Mazahul Islam's question next. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but yeah, let's take this question. Hello, Bansal. Okay. No, do in state.
So B1, B2 visas do not allow any type of employment, including remote work is not allowed on a B1, B2. It's simply for
Mhm.
tourist or conferences or even medical treatment.
Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I hope that answers, yeah, Mazharul's answer. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. Let's move on to Mian asking, do US visa officers do their decision on databases?
So I see a question. Okay, yeah. So okay, this is a U.S. visa officer decision on databases. So I wish the U.S. consular officers had some data to drive their decision making. Unfortunately, they don't. They don't have any databases, and they don't have any. I mean, they have certain pieces of information
Mhm.
database. However, it's not based on any sort of statistics or research or even paperwork from the applicant. It's solely based on the DS 160, your I-20 for students, or your DS 2019 for J1s, and the visa interview. And that is why the visa interview is so important. And your communication with the consular officer is so important because it is the driving force behind their decisions.
Mhm.
Just to add it for databases, I mean, they have a database of past records of you applying to the consulate or embassy, but the information they have is pretty limited beyond that.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you so much, Mian, for that question and Yvette for answering it. Let's move on. This next one is from Jonathan asking, what is the maximum chance for F1? I heard
Mm.
applying more than 3 times in a row may actually hurt your chances. Is it true?
It is a little bit true, yeah. So chances for getting your F1 visa reduce with every time you apply, and applying for 3 times in a row is really difficult because when you say in a row, that means your circumstances haven't changed too much. You've gotten
Mhm.
3 times to be able to communicate to the consular officer. So that
Mhm.
fourth time needs to really communicate something different that you may not have communicated. May not necessarily be a profile change, but what you're communicating needs to be significantly different than the first 3 times. So it hurts your chances because the consular officer sees 3 of his peers reject you, and so the fourth time is difficult.
Mm. Okay. Let's move on to the next. Actually, there's another question from Jonathan P. I think we'll take that up quickly also. So, how long is the good length to stay for holiday and travel history? Which one do you think is the strongest stamps for Indian? Japan, Turkey, or Russia? And three of the countries are pretty far.
What would you do?
What? Yeah.
Interesting question. I would go to Europe. I'd go to Europe. If you really had the funds to go to Japan, maybe go to Japan. Turkey for fun, that's fine
Mhm.
too. I think any previous travel, as long as you can explain it, is good. Be warned, getting visas without travel is collecting visas and not necessarily traveling. So that will not be good. So you should naturally go visit other countries um,
Mhm.
as part of your travel history in a natural way. But I like the strategies here. and a good length of stay for a holiday in your travel history. I think one that makes sense. I think generally people take a 7 day holiday or a 10 day holiday, unless you're
Mhm.
backpacking across Europe. So I think as long as it makes sense, if you tell them you stayed in Japan for a month, they're going to wonder, what were you doing for an entire month? That seems a little bit odd. So yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Interesting questions, but I like them.
Very interesting. Yes. Yeah. So have you traveled to all these countries, if you don't mind me asking?
Me,
Yes.
I've
Yes.
traveled. I've always wanted to go to Japan. I have not been to Russia because I've been too afraid if I go back to the government if I can get a security clearance. And I've been to Turkey. I've been to Turkey during Eid. So out of those three countries, and yeah, the Turkey is quite lovely. I would love to go back.
Very nice. I'm yet to visit, so maybe sometime I will tell you how was it for me, hopefully.
Yeah, so great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's move on. Let's move on to the next question. This is from Lamin. I am a fresh BSc graduate. I applied MA Economics in K-State University, but the school admits to the PhD program and it's fully funded. What's the key point that I need to focus on so that I can have my visa?
Okay, so you're a fresh graduate, you applied to a master's in economics, but the school admission was to a PhD program.
Mhm,
So what do you have to focus on? So you have a fully funded PhD. With a fully funded PhD, you would have to intentionally screw up the interview. I mean, there's no guarantees in interviews, but a fully funded PhD is going to look really great. And so, what you have to
mhm.
focus on is your past history of academics, and the research that you're doing, why you're going for the PhD program, and what you're hoping to accomplish by getting this PhD. So that's what the consular officer is going to focus on the most.
You seem to. So, I mean, the free PhD program is already great, but hopefully you still have more bonuses on the visa's end as well. All the best. Anyway, let's move on to the next one quickly, and that is from Abhishek Kumar. Hi, officer. I have a 1 year gap after my graduation, and now I want to go for a master's in the USA. So, how to cover the 1 year gap so that it it would have a good impact, I guess.
Sure, and I think that a common answer is that you're preparing for your application. So 1 year is not a large gap. You could have been preparing for your applications. You could have been taking a break so you can recuperate and so that you can be successful for your master's program. You could have taken online classes, you could have done an internship, you could have just spent time with your family. All of those things are acceptable answers for a 1 year break. I hope that makes sense. That the consular officer is going to judge you as an entire applicant and they're going to expect human answers like you needed a break after your bachelor's program. So don't stress about it.
Okay. Um, all the best to Abhishek as well. I hope you figure out and come out with flying colors also. And the next one now, let's go to this LinkedIn user asking a question. It's anonymous. I cannot have the name yet. Do B1 visa allow employment? That is the question.
We already covered this one.
Yes, we did. Okay, and let's go on to the next one. This one also
We
we've
also,
taken from Jonathan. Yes, let's go on to Khatak. Hello, ma'am. My US visa is approved by status, stuck at approved from 1 month, and there is no update. So, what should we do?
email your consulate or embassy. You can find the email online. Either it should be There's multiple outreach emails, CIU emails, or just common emails. Yes. So go to your embassy or consulate homepage, find an email for the consular section, and give them your information, your name, your DS-160, maybe confirmation number, first name, last name, date of birth, and say, my visa has been approved. It's been approved for it's been approved for a month. Can I please have the status on this visa? So, yeah, I would just do that, nudge them along. It could just be stuck somewhere along the way.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking that up for Katak. Now, this next one is from Tarun. Tarun is asking, is there any second lottery for H-1B visa?
Nipasa, do you know the answer to this question?
Nobody knows the answer to this question. There is no update yet. I mean, but we can always stay hopeful, I guess.
Yeah,
All right. So, Tarun, I think you just have to manifest and see what happens this year. Okay.
light
And
a
let's
candle.
take a short. Yeah. Okay. Let's take another question. This is also on YouTube from ex Tina. I was wrongly refused CO Scout with angry tone, although I accepted in prestigious university. Later, I found that the CEO, the consular officer, name and Facebook page. Is it okay if I message her there and tell her how she makes me feel?
This is the funniest, most interesting question, and
It's-
probably the CEO's biggest fear. Well, first of all, I'm really sorry about the rejection. It's and I am, and I know that you are being serious because you want to tell the consular officer how you feel. However, I don't think there's anything good that can come of that. You could potentially really scare her, and she may report you to the regional security officer or someone else, saying that you're potentially harassing her, because consular officers feel threatened when they're in a country that they don't know, and they are afraid that maybe someone might take revenge on them. So usually consular officers are pretty anonymous. So the fact that you know her name, I'm not sure how you were able to get that information, but I would advise against this, just because you don't want to cause trouble for yourself or spook the consular officer out. And really understand that the consular officer does not know you. The decision is absolutely not personal. The job, I'm not excusing her angry tone, but the job is very difficult, and
Mhm.
100% had nothing to do with you or your profile. So if you check my YouTube channel next week, I'm coming out with an F1 webinar that's going to be really affordable. I hope you join it, and maybe you can understand how to frame your answers better, and give that visa another shot, and know that it really was not personal, and she very much did not intend to hurt your feelings. I know that. So yeah.
I think it was just one of the bad days and
Yeah.
best to ignore, forgive and forget. So, yeah, let's just take that on a positive note, okay? And
Mhm.
well, the information for contacting Yvette is scrolling on the screen, so please note them down. And let's move on to the next question from Ansa. Ansa is saying, my company just filed my career receipt. My driver's license expires on 7th of May. Do you know how long it would take to get the receipt to renew my driver's license? Receipt.
Um, are you
Okay, there's a
talking?
okay. The status is
This
she
is
has emailed my career receipt for H1B cap gap. Okay, this is Yvette.
You're
Yeah.
asking how long it would take to get your driver's license in the United States? I wish. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need more clarification on your
Yeah,
question, Ansa, if you're
you.
here.
If it's
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so yeah, definitely give us a little bit more clarity. But in terms of timelines of the DMV or the driver's license, I would probably say 2 weeks, like for as a blanket answer. But I have no idea what you're asking, so please please offer a little bit more clarity. Thank you.
For sure. And just a reminder, this is Ask Me Anything About F1 visas. So hopefully you stick
Yeah.
to the topic. And all right, let's move on to the next one. This one is from Shrujit is asking, what factors do you consider when determining whether an applicant's intention to return to their home? Sorry, let me just repeat. What factors do you consider when determining whether an applicant's intention to return to their home country is genuine? And how do you balance this assessment with the fact that many international students naturally have a desire to remain in the United States after completing their studies, potentially leading to a path to permanent residency or citizenship, even?
Okay. So the laws as they're written guiding F1 visa adjudications, and I'm just focusing on the F1 ties, says that F1 students have a lower bar than, say, a B1, B2 applicant because we know they're students. They don't own their own
Mhm.
homes. Generally, they're in most countries, they're coming to the window and they're not married. Almost all of them have no children. Some of them don't even have a bachelor's degree because they're going for a bachelor's degree. They have none of their own funding. So we know that, and the law says that those lack of ties when it comes to an F1 student are okay. You're not supposed to have a higher threshold than that. That's an acceptable threshold. And we are supposed to adjudicate the student based on their intention of being a student and their ability to finance their program, and not predict or try to guess what they're going to do after they're done with their program. So as long as I think you're a genuine student and I don't believe that you would misuse your visa, meaning if OPT or an H-1B did not become available to you, I believe you would go back to your home country. Thereby, you are still going to be somebody, as I'm adjudicating, that I trust will remain in legal status. And I'm not supposed to guess or adjudicate based on what you hope to do in the future. So that is how generally consular officers approach your question, which is a very good question.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Srujit, for that question. Thank you so much, Yvette, also for taking that up and for clarifying. Very well explained. Thank you so much. Let's take a short break, I think. And before the break, I would just like to tell you that you can directly contact former U.S. Consular Officer Yvette Bansal, our very special guest today. And we are discussing about F1 visas. So you can ask anything, any questions you have, and also ask Yvette directly. So you can even contact her at 630-303-6165 or email her at yb@udetivisa.com, or just visit her website at udetivisa.com. All right, and stay with us because we'll just go for a short break and be back and discuss more about F1 visas on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E-3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan once again, and after the break, today we are discussing about F1 visas, and you can ask anything because this is an Ask Me Anything session with former U.S. Consular Officer Yvette Bansal, and definitely check out her website, udetivisa.com. So sorry, I mixed that up, both the names
It's
totally.
okay. That's totally fine.
All right, so let's move ahead to the questions. Let's take this one up from Choi. What is the databases that US Embassy have? Do they have travel history 20 years ago? Funny though, I know someone who overstayed in Australia, changed his passport, and got away with it.
Right. So the information that they have about your US travel history, it does have limitations. The exact year where records become fuzzy, I'm not exactly sure. 20 years ago, maybe not that long. I mean, that it's not 20 years is not that long, and you are still supposed to be disclosing all information and overstays. It doesn't have a limitation on the DS 160. So, not a very direct answer, but I would say that yes, the longer period of time, the fuzzier record keeping becomes. And
Mhm,
then, yeah, so I'm not surprised that somebody who's overstayed in Australia got away with it.
mhm.
So it's
Okay,
not they don't yeah, consular officers don't always know everything.
cool, cool, cool. But there is a way, so maybe put it on record if it's not there yet, right? Cool. All right, let's move ahead to the next question now. This is from Katak. Could you please advise on the status my visa application? It has been 40 days since the visa officer approved my visa during the interview, and I'm still waiting for my passport to be returned.
Yeah, so I would really go to that consulate or embassy website, and there should be a email that you can reach out to. Each embassy and consulate has their own email for the consular section or the CIU section. That's the consular information unit. So I would Google consular information unit New Delhi if it's New Delhi, or consular information unit Hyderabad email, and that is the conduit of how you communicate with the consular officer, you email them, and then that unit will send the email to the consular officer. There are a lot of different things that could be going on with your passport. The consular officer might be doing some routine security checks that may be taking more time, or it could just be stuck somewhere. Say the consular officer approved your visa. He wanted to check on something, and he kept your passport in his basket, and he has not checked on it yet. So operations on the back end sometimes can be like operations anywhere else in the world where something may not be getting attention, forgotten about, or the consular officer again is waiting on something security related that is out of your control. Those are the possible reasons why your passport might be stuck in approval status. And I would just definitely email them because you want to make sure that your passport is not lost. Or yes, like I said, stuck somewhere. So it could be that after you follow up with the email, they'll ping the consular officer and they'll say, yes, oh yes, I do have this passport. I was checking something on this passport, but yes, I can go ahead and approve it. So hopefully that's the case. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I hope it's much clearer for you, Katak. And if you still have more questions, we are here for a bit more. But even if not, you can drop in your questions in the comments. We will take them up even if the live stream has ended. All right, then let's move on to the next one. This one is from Lamin. The school says I will do masters and then move to PhD. If you remember the previous questions, this is a follow up.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, yeah. So you can then discuss the fact that you have plans to complete your master's and then have the subsequent PhD program. If you have a letter from your school explaining that you're going to clear your master's and then go for the PhD program, have that letter and just be able to discuss your situation with the consular officer. If the PhD is fully funded, but the master's is not, then you should expect questions regarding financing for that master's degree.
Okay. Okay. All the best, Lamin. And
Mhm.
now the next one, Marty. Yvette, can I go to US with tourist visa if I just graduated in June, or do I need to have work history? If so, how long do I need to work before applying?
I'm not sure about your specific case. You
Yes.
It really all depends. If you just graduated, who's funding your education, and your purpose of travel are going to be the biggest
Right.
questions. So it really depends on your profile. I mean, generally, just graduated. Who are you traveling with? It may be better if you were traveling with your parents, and maybe you've
Mhm.
traveled like in your country before with your parents, and now you want to go to the United States on your own. Might be a little harder, but I don't know because I don't know your full profile to give you that
Right.
assessment.
Right. So I would suggest to tell us where you have joined us from, a city or state, and better even just consult with Yvette directly. Her details are scrolling on the screen, so note them down and contact her. All right. So let's take up a one more maybe question, one or two more before
Sure.
we end up today's session. This is again from Choi asking, what is the, this is we've already taken.
Hmm.
Yes. Let's move to the next one if we have. Gaffer asking, do having J1 internship 7 or 8 years ago still help getting F1?
It depends. It depends on if your history makes sense and why you're getting an F1. So, you doing an internship 7 or 8 years ago tells me that you're a little bit older. And so, why at this point are you going for the F1 visa? Is it for a master's degree? So, it really depends. It could be helpful, and at the same time, it could not be helpful. So, just make sure that your story makes sense, the internship and how it ties up to that F1 program and why you're seeking to get a degree at this point in your life.
Right. All right. So all the best to Gaffer then. Next up, let's take up another question quickly. Is 1 year in work history enough for tourist visas? This is a follow up from Marty. Okay.
Okay, so again, not really sure about your profile, but I would say having a job versus recently graduated might be better. However, it depends on the job. It depends on how great the job is at this, and this is very generally speaking. So, say you
Mhm.
right out of graduation got an amazing high-paying job at a great like mid-level position with a higher salary than your peers, then yes, maybe that 1 year of work history is going to be impressive for the consular officer. But if it's just like any job, then the point is, does that really constitute as a tie? So you have to remember the bigger picture. The consular officer is asking themselves, like, if I give this person a visa, are they going to misuse it by working illegally in the United States or completely ditching their home country and staying illegally? So the more you can show that you have something to lose in your home country, the better.
Okay. I hope that helps you, Marty. All
Yeah,
right
I hope
then.
it helps because we're trying to cover
Yes,
very specific things in a very general way. So I really hope it helps.
it helps. Me too. Me too. Well, Yvette, you had also mentioned about the 6C1. So, what is 6C1? And can you provide a little few details maybe about it before we wrap up
Right.
today's session?
Yeah, so we started off by saying that if you offer a fake document to the consular officer, they may enter a 6C1. A 6C1 is a code for a misrepresentation, just like 214B is a code for weak ties. In the simplest term, a
Mhm.
6C1 is what somebody who intentionally misrepresents, offers a material misrepresentation to the consular officer, uh, 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 and there's more nuanced portions of the policy, but in
Mhm.
general, um, a material misrepresentation can get you a 6C1, which is a lifetime ban into the United States in the simplest way.
That is scary. So, that is a total no-no then.
Yes, yes, which will impact an H-1B or a green card application. It's very serious.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Yvette, for clearing that up for us. Let's quickly take up Shelley's question asking, my F1 visa is expiring next month. Should I renew it before it expires? And additionally, I received a new I-20 and a new Savers ID because my old I-20 was terminated due to dropping two courses.
So this is not a straightforward question
So
because of the seven. Yes.
she's asking, will this be a problem when I renew my visa?
So you're asking a very specific question, and the talk to your designated school official. It's not a straightforward question. So generally, if I'm on an F1 status and my visa expires, but my status is still valid, I don't need to renew my visa stamp unless I leave the country and re-enter. But in your case, you also had some SEVIS issue and a new I-20 and SEVIS termination issues. So in that case, you may be required to get a new visa. Talk to your designated school official. It's their job to advise you on this specifically.
All the best, Shelley, then. And all right, let's take up one more question. Next up should be from Deepak. What motivates you to continue serving in this role, given the high volume of applications and the emotional toll of making life altering decisions for countless individuals? This is very
Yeah.
sweet to try and get to know you better, I guess, Yvette.
What motivates you? That's why I quit, Deepak. I couldn't do it. I could not. I could not do it. I could not take the emotional toll. It was exhausting. It was. It was not. Yeah. Thank you for recognizing how difficult it is to be a consular officer. My
Oh, it's
God,
still
like that is.
continuing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, let's end on this question. It's really a good
sure. So,
one.
how do you maintain sense of empathy and compassion in the face of such significant responsibility?
You have to shut off your feelings and tell yourself that you're administering the law in the best way you know how. So you definitely captured the plight of consular officers. So the more you are in touch with your sense of empathy, the more you want to help people, the more difficult your job on the line is. But what you have to do is you look at the law and you try your best to administer the adjudication based on the law, and not
Mhm,
think about the fact that it's very quick and you might be making bad decisions. You do the very best you possibly can, day in and day out, to do right by your applicants in the best way you know how. That's how I
mhm.
approached it. But it not an easy job, and great question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deepak, as well. And thank you so much, Yvette, for this very insightful session today as well. This is the third episode on Ask Me Anything on F1 visas. So I hope with this we can wrap up. Though there's so much more to still ask, and I'm sure folks out there still have so many questions. I would just say contact Yvette Bansal directly, former US consular officer, and her details are on the screen. You can call her in the number 630-303-6165 or email her at yb@udetivisa.com or just visit her website, udetivisa.com. And thank you so much, Yvette, for doing this. Thank you so much. See you soon, I hope, again.
Yes, hopefully next week at the same time. And thank you so much, Nipasa and Higher IT people. I appreciate the talk show and the opportunity to be here. So thank you guys, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a great Friday ahead and a happy weekend. See you soon.
Take care.
Folks out there, thank you so much for joining wherever you joined us from. And if you still have more questions, I would just say keep commenting. We will take them up, and our experts are here to definitely cater to all of your questions. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this session was very, very enlightening and insightful. I enjoyed. I hope you too did. And yeah, stay tuned to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Don't forget to subscribe to us and hit the bell icon so that you'll always be updated first when we have updates about immigration and jobs. Thank you so much for joining. This is Nipasa Pradhan signing off for now from Immigration and Jobs Talk Show.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for U.S. citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E-3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.